Member Shaughnessy present.
Member Abby Wynn, Burke, present.
Member Kelly, present.
Mr. Mead present.
PJ Foley, present.
Thank you. Can I get a motion on the previous minutes of the January 14th?
Make a motion to receive the, approve the minutes of the meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We're gonna do a couple things out of order tonight.
The announcements.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. The planning board reserves the right to administer the oath through the chairs, summon witnesses, call for productions of papers, cross-examine any person given testimony during the proceedings, declare recess, limit debates, inspect the subject sites or buildings during reasonable hours, and adjourn the hearing for cause. The order of business will be announced by the chair. All questions will be directed to the chair. Any person wishing to speak, please raise your hand for recognition from the chair. When recognized, please stand, state your name, address, specific interest in the proceedings, and special credentials, if any, pertaining to the presentation. Please speak slowly and within the context of the hearing matter. The hearing is being taped for the public. The planning board reserves the right to exclude any unnecessary, irrelevant, repetitive, or harassing presentations. And then pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit it through any medium. Attendees therefore are advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and impermissible. The board requests that you please be courteous to the proceedings and turn off your cell phones. So now we're going to do a few things out of order. The first order of business tonight will be a continued public hearing for 46 Bates Ave.
Evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Patrick Foley, business address 265 Willard Street. We're just gonna push this, see if we can push this off for a continuance for 1 month. The engineering department is still reviewing some of the documentation that we sent over. We got over some kind of late, so.
Okay. Do I have a motion to move this out for 1 month?
I'll move to push it out for the next month's meeting.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Actually, discussion real quick?
Yes, sir.
Yep, Mr. Chair, just prior to the department supports the recommendation to move this 1 month. I just want to make a note on the record. We had an advertisement error on this case, which is the square footage. So in this next 1 month, we will go ahead and just re-advertise with the proper square footage noted, and we'll mail the abutter mailing list as well. Other than that, the department supports the recommendation
Okay.
for continuance to 1 month to the March 11th meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, so all those in favor of continuing out to the March meeting?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you. The next order of business will be a public hearing on 475 Hancock Street. The public hearing for 475 Hancock Street, Planning Board Case 2026-02. This public hearing shall be conducted and reviewed the application of the Blue Sky Utility LLC at 19 Glades Road, 4th floor, office mailbox 607, Boca Raton, Florida, 33431, for site plan review on the Quincy's zoning ordinance, Title 17, Section 9.5.1.4, site plan review. The applicant proposes the construction of a battery energy storage system and a private vehicle charging station enclosed with a 6-foot perimeter fence. The main components of the BESS includes a battery equipment containers, utility interconnected equipment, and miscellaneous electrical equipment. Additional billboards are proposed, protected the BSS from vehicles. The proposal would not require any new curb cuts or change the existing traffic patterns. The property contains 351,529 square feet of land and is located at 475 Hancock Street. The subject property is located within a Business C, Industrial B zoning district and is shown on the assessors map 5103, Lot 41, Plot 1D. Okay.
Good evening, members of the board. I appreciate you having us here this evening. I'm Charles Jenkins. I'm the Blue Sky Utility Group. My office is in 31 Gray Street, North Andover. The reason for our addressing this and trying to get a continuance for next month is we had, first of all, with all the new council people that have come on board just recently, and I think they're still wanting to get up to speed. So, we met with Maggie McKee. She requested to me very genuinely, I'm waiting for some information from a third party that I expect to get fairly soon. She said I'd feel much more comfortable if I was able to get that first. And so that's part of our reasoning for moving forward to accommodate her wishes in that way. She arranged a meeting with us in the fire department last week. And we had a meeting with, there was a couple other council people there as well. And with some of the new things that came to light, we wanted to take this moment to step back, do a little maybe redesign based on some new parameters that the fire department has suggested. So that's the cause for our request for continuance today.
Okay, do I have a motion to continue this out to the March meeting?
Make a motion that we continue this out to the March 11th meeting.
And do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, see you in March.
Thank you.
Okay.
To the regular.
Okay, now we're going back to the regular order of business. The next order of business will be 166 Independence Ave, Planning Board Case 2025-16. What's that?
It's not on, or is it on this dashboard, John? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Oh. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We're all set for you.
Thank you.
Now we can hear you.
Test. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name's Tom Cavanaugh. I'm an attorney that works with Attorney David Mahoney, who can't be here tonight, 15 Foster Street, Quincy, Mass. We were last before you in December, I believe it was December 17, 2025, when the public hearing was opened. Testimony was taken, and Phil Baker, one of the architects, as well as Mike Joyce, the engineer, presented. Since then, we've received peer review comments. We believe that we've responded to those comments satisfactorily, so we're back here tonight. Everybody's here from the team. If there's any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, is there any questions from the board? Okay. This is a public hearing. Is anyone in the audience that wish to speak on this case? In the back, Counselor?
Yes.
Come on up to the microphone, please. Thank you.
Hi, Virginia. Good, how are you?
Good evening, planning board members. So my name is Virginia Ryan. I'm the Ward 4 City Councilor, and I have viewed this project on several occasions, and I find it a great project, and I think it would fit the neighborhood well. I do have some feedback from a member of the community. Her name is Anna Lee Johnson, and she lives at 36 Garfield Street in Quincy, and I did take a printout of her response to my notification of the meeting tonight. She has a question on the number of surface parking spaces of only 8 leaves little room for visitor parking, except on the street. So her suggestion was that the ground floor be for residents parking and grounds for visitors surrounded with trees and shrubbery to address carbon and pollution from cars. Today's building boom in Quincy should be required even in the transit-oriented development designated areas. You take a look at Garfield Street development as an example. All the apartments have parking spaces under the building, yet there is parking on the street continuously. We learned what the last snowstorm created. Second, professionally designed drainage, and I know that they were addressing that issue on the plans. What is the unprofessional drainage system then? Is there a bioswale to filter the water prior to entering the stormwater system? I understand developers want to get as much value of this land as possible and spend the least and gain the most. It is just a matter of doing business. The city cannot continuously be a pushover, to the benefit the developers and disregard the city and its residents, adding more to the congestion. The ground floor for residents, parking and services, one outside for visitors. Note what happens in one city ward has an effect throughout the city. So basically, she's concerned about parking. She's concerned about landscaping, because landscaping absorbs carbon dioxide, as we all know. So I don't know if you can take a look at that, developers, but, so.
Okay, thank you. Oh,
Yeah, I printed it up.
thank you very much. Is anyone else that wish to speak on the 166 Independence Ave? Does anyone else wish to speak on 161 Independence Ave? Seeing none, I can take a motion to close the public hearing.
Move to close.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Stevens, does the board have a recommendation?
Yes, and I would note that our newest member, Abby, is not eligible on this case, so, but you're more than welcome to sit tight. Thank you. With that, after consideration of the site plan, accompanying documents, and the comments received from the city staff and the peer review consultant, the department recommends the board approve site plan review under Quincy zoning ordinance Title 17, Section 9.5.1 site plan review, and special permit under Section 5.1.17 parking waiver subject to the below listed special and general conditions. Special condition 1, the applicant shall obtain all applicable findings, variances, and special permits if needed from the City of Quincy Zoning Board of Appeal. 2, the applicant shall submit a construction management plan to be filed and approved prior to the issuance of a building permit. This shall include the locations of stockpile and/or staging areas for construction equipment and materials. The applicant shall also address construction period traffic impacts by providing a detailed sequence of construction and addressing any space constraints and detailing how they'll be addressed as construction progresses. 3, future residents of the development shall be prohibited from participation in the city's on-street resident parking permit program. 4, the applicant shall reconstruct the sidewalk along the entire property frontage of Fairchild Street with bituminous concrete and reset or replace the granite curbing as specified by the Department of Public Works. The applicant shall work cooperatively with the Department of Public Works to determine the need for reconstruction of the sidewalk along the entire property frontage on Independence Avenue. 5, Independence Avenue was repaved in 2025. The applicant must obtain permission from the Commissioner of Public Works to perform work in either street before 2030. The applicant shall be responsible for restoring roadway curbing and sidewalk to finished conditions once construction activities have concluded. 6, prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall obtain a drain permit from the Department of Public Works. 7, prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall perform a water flow test with the city's water department. 8, prior to the issuance of an occupancy permit, the applicant shall submit and record at the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds an operation and maintenance plan for the project stormwater system, which shall include the following: stormwater management system owners, an estimated operations and maintenance budget, manufacturer's literature for stormwater chambers, a schedule for all routine and non-routine maintenance tasks to be undertaken, snow management plan showing snow storage areas and locations of all stormwater BMPs in each treatment train along with discharge points. Inspections shall be conducted by a qualified professional such as a civil engineer or environmental engineer. 9, the applicant shall conduct a pre-demolition hazardous materials survey, i.e. asbestos-containing materials, fluorescent lights, PCB-containing materials, including ballast, mercury-containing thermostats and switches, etc., and provide a copy of the survey to the Quincy Health Department. If hazardous materials are found in the buildings to be demolished, the applicant or its licensed abatement contractor shall consult with the Quincy Health Department regarding abatement measures and monitoring of abatement work. 10, the applicant shall consult with the Quincy Health Department on noise mitigation measures for construction-related noise-generating activities to comply with local and state regulations. 11, the applicant shall submit a written rodent control plan to the Quincy Health Department for review and approval prior to any site activity. Said plan must be designed for the duration of the project and include, at minimum, the following: name and contact information of a licensed pest control operator to be retained by the project proponent for the duration of the project. Scope of the proposed plan for control of rodents, including number, location, and monitoring frequency of bait stations, as well as the anticipated length of service. Special condition 12, the applicant shall develop and submit a written dust control plan to the Quincy Health Department for review and approval prior to any site activity. Said dust control plan is to be implemented during any site activities to ensure compliance with state air quality regulations. 13, the applicant shall comply with the city's tree protection ordinance, Quincy Code Chapter 311. And that would conclude the department's recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Do I have a motion to accept the recommendations from the board?
I'll move to accept.
Do I have a second? Oh. Ah.
Granddad, baby girl.
Congratulations on this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't realize you weren't down at the end there. We had a motion and we had a
I don't really care anymore. What was our motion, sir?
to accept the board's recommendations for project at 166 Independence Ave.
I'll second that motion.
It was, all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. This is memorable one.
Thank you.
Okay, after that great news from Member Shaughnessy, no. So the next order of business will be a public hearing on 90 Columbia Street, Planning Board Case 2026-03. This public hearing shall be conducted to review the application of Quincy Learning RE LLC at 206 Great Road, Littleton, Mass. 01460 for a mixed-use development in an MBTA community multifamily overlay district, which requires site plan review under Quincy zoning ordinance Title 17, Section 9.5.1 site plan review. To be consistent with this section, 8.6.8 general development criteria, Section 8.3.8 special permit and site plan approval criteria, and Section 8.5.5 review. The applicant proposes to the removal of one-story building and the construction of a new mixed-use three-story consisting of a child care, a swimming pool on the first floor and the second floor, and 6 residential units on the third floor, along with 25 surface parking spaces. The proposal will also include professionally designed drainage, controls, and landscaping. The property contains 32,400 square feet of land and is located at 90 Columbia Street. The subject property is located within an industrial A zoning district and in the MCMOD, and is shown on the assessors map at map 3090, lot 1, plot 143. The floor is yours.
Great. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. First off, congratulations to Board Member Shaughnessy. That's
Thank
great.
you very
It's
much.
tremendous news.
I'm gonna milk this for as long as I can.
Me too. We've got to start off on the right foot. So my name is Joe Duquette, for the record, from the law firm of Bowditch & Dewey. Joining me tonight in the audience is Adrienne Di Pasquale of The Learning Experience, civil engineer Nick Dewhurst of Bowler, Sean Kelly, traffic engineer of Bowler, and the principal architect, Matt Jarmel of Jarmel Keisel. So we are very excited to present what we understand to be the very first project that's availing itself of the provisions of the MBTA multifamily overlay district. The property, as you mentioned, is located at 90 Columbia Street and is currently under agreement to be purchased pending successful permitting of this project. The property is currently used as a longstanding printing company. So the neighborhood, while it's primarily single-family residential in the closest proximity to the project, it is in the Industrial A zoning district, and there are commercial/mixed uses in the neighborhood, which include a Dunkin' Donuts, Valvoline Oil Change, BJ's along Crown Colony Drive, as well as the multifamily development to the rear of the site. It's also in close proximity to the Quincy Adams T station. So now the applicant is the operator, as we'll discuss later tonight, of many child care centers in the Commonwealth. You may be familiar with the learning experience. There are a handful of locations in Massachusetts. I counted at least 15, but Matt will correct me on that. As part of the project, the applicant is proposing the removal of the existing one-story building on the site and constructing a mixed-use 3-story building with the child care, a swim school on the 2nd floor, and 6 residential units on the 3rd floor. The project will also involve a playground in the rear of the site for the child care use. The applicant has found through many of these learning experience projects that available housing is a challenge for staffing, so we were very excited to learn that it was in the MBTA Community Overlay District, which allows this type of mixed use. So the residential units are going to be primarily for those staffers. And this swim school addition is a relatively newer development, but the learning experience has found through other uses that they're very compatible uses. They have different characteristics in terms of the parking. The swim schools are open at different times of the day than the daycare schools, so it really works out quite well. And lastly, before I turn it over to Nick Dewhurst to talk more about the development itself, the project is proceeding under the MCMOD, which allows the mixed use by right with site plan approval from the board. And with that, I'm happy to turn it over to Nick.
Thank you, Joe. Again, for the record, Nick Dewhurst with Bowler. We are the civil engineers on the project. I think we can probably flip to the next slide. The next handful of slides are just to sort of orient ourselves as... Oh, perfect. Awesome. So this is just kind of a bird's eye view of the site. You can see Crown Colony sort of off to the screen to the left, Center Street kind of running north-south of the plan sheet. Oh, wow, got the whole... Okay, got all the tools up here. The site here, Columbia Street here, as I mentioned, Center Street, Crown Colony here. So I believe everybody's relatively familiar with where the site is. Just sort of a zoomed in, more recent aerial depicting the site. The next few slides are just some pictures of the existing conditions of the site today. So as Joe mentioned, the site is 90 Columbia Street. It's a 0.74 acre parcel. It's currently comprised of the existing building, pavement and landscaping. And it's located in the Industrial A, Light Industry, and MBTA Community Multifamily Overlay District. So this is our proposed site plan. It includes a 3-story, 11,000 square foot footprint building. The site, the proposed layout that you know our plan contemplates today is very similar to the layout of the site as it currently exists, where the building's kind of situated on that northeasterly side of the site with the parking to the plan left of that. The driveway's in the same general location. So we really kind of just utilize the same site layout. Of course, as Joe mentioned, the building will be demolished and rebuilt, and as well as the parking. We're also proposing a play area at the rear of the school. That's sort of that gray area at the back there. That's typically, and Matt can kind of chime in on the specifics a bit more, that's typically a turfed surface. There is a retaining wall that kind of wraps around the rear of that play area. Just from a grading standpoint, I believe it's about 3 feet in height at its highest point. And we're proposing a 6-foot tall white vinyl fence along the top of that wall. From a parking standpoint, zoning requires a minimum parking count of 12 spaces, and that's when you kind of look at each individual use and break down the swim school, the residential, and the daycare uses. We're actually providing 25 spaces, which include the 2 ADA accessible spaces up front, close to the main building entrance. From an access standpoint, as I mentioned, we're really kind of maintaining that similar driveway location off Columbia Street to what exists today. So it'll continue to be a 2-way, full movement driveway. And you can see it's a relatively straightforward parking field, 2-way throughout. And then we do have that trash enclosure that's going to be fully screened kind of at the rear of that parking area. This is just the more formal site plan that was submitted with the application, but essentially the same information that was shown on the last slide. From a stormwater standpoint, it is a redevelopment, but we have provided a underground chamber infiltration system in the parking area. You can kind of see it here. That will mitigate some of the peak flows from the building, the proposed building, as well as the entirety of the parking area. So really all new impervious surfaces within the site are going to be directed to that stormwater system. We are aware of the city's, I believe it's 90% TSS removal and 60% phosphorus removal requirements. So the system has been designed to meet those both state and local requirements. And we understand that those are going to be looked at a bit closer from the peer review consultant along with DPW and engineering staff. From a grading standpoint, the site is, it's not the most complicated grading design in the world. As I mentioned, we do have that retaining wall out back. So that's sort of the real only kind of unique grading feature here. Other than that, we're pretty much going to be matching the existing grades on site today. Utilities are also, pretty straightforward, given that it is a redevelopment and Columbia Ave does have all the infrastructure kind of within the roadway. So we do plan to tie into the municipal water and sewer systems within Columbia Street. We're also proposing a new gas service that the gas main also runs within Columbia. And from an electrical standpoint, there's overhead electric along our side of the street of Columbia. We're currently not showing a transformer. We'll have to study with the electrical engineer if that's needed or not. Ultimately, if it is, we'll probably locate that somewhere behind or near that trash enclosure just to kind of get it out of the way of people's views of things. We are providing erosion controls. We do have an erosion control barrier, silt fence, straw wattles around the entirety of the site, as well as that riprap crushed stone construction entrance that's really designed to minimize any tracking of dirt or other construction debris off site from those larger construction vehicles. We did submit a landscape plan, so we feel we have a pretty robust landscape design as part of this application. So we're providing a significant amount of new landscaping. It consists of multiple canopy trees, evergreen trees, shrubs, and different types of ground covers. Lastly, we are providing a new lighting design as well. So as part of that, we have 2 parking lot pole-mounted light fixtures, and then we have a series of building-mounted lights, and we've kind of run photometrics just to make sure that we're providing adequate light levels, just from a safety and and functionality standpoint. With that said, I'll turn it over to the architect to hit on the architectural features, but as we get into questions, happy to answer anything specific as it comes to the site. Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman and board members. My name is Matthew Jarmel. I'm a registered architect, and I have had the pleasure of working with the Learning Experience, who's the main occupant of this building, for over 20 years. In that capacity, I've designed literally over 400 childcare centers for them throughout the country. They've got 20 operating in Massachusetts as of right now. I also am an architect that has significant experience in natatoriums or indoor swimming pools, and we've been working with Live to Swim to help them build their brand. What we propose today is a 3-story building. Total square footage is 29,500 square feet. As my colleague just testified, the first floor is actually just shy of 11,000 square feet at 10,980 square feet. The second floor is 8,900 square feet, and the third floor is 9,600 square feet. As you've heard this evening, there are 3 separate, say, uses in the building. The first and second floor include a child care center and the Live to Swim, and the third floor includes the apartments. Each one of these uses has its own dedicated entry. I'll point to them with the laser. The one I'm pointing to right now is the entry for the child care center, Learning Experience, which occupies approximately half of the first floor. The second one at the top left corner of the plan is the entryway to the Live to Swim. You can see there's a swimming pool here. And then the third one, which is a dedicated one, faces the main road, and that's for the residential units. The uses, although in the same building, not only have separate entrances, they have separate points of circulation. There's an elevator right here that's dedicated to the child care center. There's an elevator over here that's shared between the swim school and the apartments. And what you'll notice, we also have multiple staircases. So when you come up to the second floor, for example, the area I'm outlining now is the child care center. The child care center, again, its own elevator and its own fire stairs. So the other occupants of the building will never intermingle with each other from that standpoint. When you come up to the third floor, there are 6 apartments. The apartments include 4 2-bedroom units. They range in size, are quite generous, from 1,200 to 1,470 square feet. 1 3-bedroom apartment that's just shy of 1,500 square feet, and 1 1-bedroom apartment of 967 square feet. Now, ideally, my client would like these made available to his staff if they have an interest in them. If not, they would be rented to the public or open to the public. This floor, as you can see, has 2 stairs. And again, I can show you this stair in the rear. So it's separate. So if I live on this floor, if you live on this floor and you need to exit the building, you're using stairs that aren't shared with the child care center. The only stair that's shared is the one at the front, which is shared with the swim school. The swim school has a second floor, but it's a very small second floor. As you can see, this is a 2-story space open to the pool below. And this is a viewing area for parents that can come up and look and see what's happening. I can talk a little bit about the operations of each of these uses in terms of the child care center as well as the swim school. Generally, the child care center is open from 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. It's designed for children that are as young as 6 weeks of age to about 5 or 6 years of age. Parents, and from an operational standpoint, and we have a traffic engineer here who can talk about it a little bit, but from an operational standpoint, parents are required to park, walk their children in, check them in, and then leave. That process takes about 5 or 7 minutes to do that process, and then a similar process in the afternoon when they pick them up. The child care center caters to the needs of the parents. Unlike a public school that opens at, say, 8:30 and all the children show up at once, parents can drop and pick up their children whenever they like. Usually it happens over a 3-hour period in the morning from about 6:30 to 9:30, with a peak from around 7:30 to 8:30. Parking spaces turn over very quickly because they're only in there 5 or 6 minutes, but even if you gave them 10 minutes, one parking space can turn over 6 times an hour as a result of that. The rest of the day, the parking lot pretty much stays empty. The swim school has different hours of operation. It actually opens at 10 a.m. after the morning peak for the child care center is complete, and it operates to about 2 p.m. Monday through Friday, and then it closes, and then it opens again after 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. in the evenings. The reason the hours are a little bit different is the evenings are for the older children that come with their parents, and the kind of midday is for parents that would bring young children, sometimes as young as infants, to learn how to swim. Typical classes are four children per class with an instructor. Sometimes the parent is in the pool with the child, depending on their age, and sometimes they're in the viewing area. So the peak operational times for the swim school are predominantly on the weekends when the child care center is closed. So there's no conflict in the parking. Just moving along, I think it went the wrong way. We have some elevations of the building put together. The top elevation is actually what faces the parking lot. And as you can see, there's separate entrances and signage for Live to Swim and the learning experience. And then the western elevation faces the street, which has the main entry for the residential buildings. We're using what I like to call kind of a modern, fun look for the building. We're using a combination of what I would also characterize as sustainable materials, things like porcelain tile, aluminum, and cement or cementitious panel cladding materials. The windows are aluminum and storefront. We propose a white EPDM roof, which is reflective and it helps reduce heat island effect. And then the signs that we propose over the entries, I believe, comply with your ordinance at 160 square foot each. And the one sign, the secondary TLE sign on the main facade of the building that faces the street is 36 square feet. By the way, you might see the elephant in the learning experience size. His name is Bubbles. One of the, what I think cool things, if you allow me to use that term, about the learning experiences, they have about 90 characters, Bubbles, the head guy, that are sort of like take on a Disney-esque appearance, and they build them into their brand and into their curriculum. And one of the interesting things about a learning experience is although it's a child care center and they're watching your kids when you're at work, they're also educating them. They have a very well-advanced curriculum. They've won awards for their curriculum, and we find that children are finishing and entering public schools or primary schools with very strong reading and math skills that are far beyond. Bubbles also has a YouTube channel called Bubbles and Friends that anyone can subscribe to and learn and have educational videos as well. With that, I've completed my testimony. I'd be pleased to take any questions you may have of me or the public.
Does the board have any questions?
I do.
Being a new grandfather.
Being a new grandfather, right? Do I gotta just, no, I can't ask you that, for the new grandchild. So how many people, how many children do you expect to come in every day and leave every day? What's gonna be your average count? And what's your vehicle count gonna be for something like that? And then the next part of it is if it's only single entrance coming in off of Columbia, which I think you said you're gonna keep the same entrance, is there any provision for maybe to make that turnaround a little bit less of a hassle for coming in, parking, backing out, turning around, as opposed to almost like a drive-in, drop-off, drive-through, drop-off type of thing? I'm just thinking about, I've never run one of these, so I'm
Sure.
just guessing here. I'm assuming that a mass of children come here between the hours of, 6 and 8, and then it slows down a little bit, and then again at 8:30 to 9, there's probably a bunch, and I just see a
Well-
lot of cars coming in, a lot of cars going out.
So what I can answer your question about children, the number of
Please.
children, but I'd like to defer some of your count questions and street alignments to our traffic engineer who's
Okay.
prepared to speak after me,
Sure.
if I can. So we have on this drawing, and it's a little hard to read even for myself, I may get a little closer to it if I may, a licensing chart. And it basically shows the name of each classroom, the age group of the children in the classrooms. What's interesting is child care centers, and every state has different rules, slightly different, and some states have multiple rules. Like cities have different rules than the state, but basically they set the criteria for how many square feet per child, how many caregivers, the ratio, let's say 1 to 4, and so on. So I'm going to step over here and I'll try and talk louder if that's okay. All right. So, for example, the top line says infants. They're children that are 6 weeks to 12 months. The size of the room allows for 7 children, and it requires 2 caregivers. The ratio of teacher to children is 1 to 4. So every 4 children need 1 person. But as you get to another age group, for example, 16 to 23 months, it's 1 to 5 with the ratio. But to answer your question, this plan, if this center was 100% occupied, would have license capacity for 154 children, and that would require 23 staff, caregivers in the classrooms, and generally two administrative staff. So the total occupancy would be about 179 children. Now, let me tell you, I won't say that's an estimate, that's based on the Massachusetts regulations, but the way the process for licensing works is we get a building permit, hopefully the project's approved here, and we get a building permit, build it. Your local construction department issues a certificate of occupancy, then the state comes and they inspect and they issue the license. Sometimes it's a few kids less or a few kids more, but generally it'll be licensed for 154 children. One of the rooms in the building is an indoor playground. It's called Make Believe Boulevard, where you'll see on the wall graphics of Bubbles and all his friends. That room has a license capacity of 20, but it's used as a playground. But it has to be licensed just the same. So the center would probably hold about 134 children if it was fully occupied. Again, 6:30 to 9:30 in the morning generally. It's about a 5 to 7 minute drop-off pickup. I might add, this is sort of my office has been attached to one of these learning experiences for 23 years, so I've had the personal knowledge of 5 days a week for the last 23 years, watch it operate, and it may be difficult to believe, but you never see more than like 6 or 8 parents at any given time dropping off kids, because they just come when it's convenient for themselves, and they come in and out very quickly.
Any other questions from the board?
I do. I have some more operations questions. So you said there's 20 of these centers.
In Massachusetts.
In Massachusetts. Are any of them in this multi-purpose kind of concept?
So many of them are standalone,
Okay.
but we currently have projects very similar to this one under development in Quincy and North Andover that will include a child care center with a swim school concept.
Okay. And then it would be the same ownership and operation management for all 3?
For the 3, yes, those 3, yes. I mean, the learning experience is a franchise model. Okay? My client that is developing this is by far the largest franchisee in the system. By comparison, they have about 470 schools operating. I think he has about 40 schools throughout the United States, including many in Massachusetts, Virginia, Texas, and so on. So he's built his own operational team, very sophisticated group that manages them.
Okay. And then, Rob, this might be your expertise. So do you have, I guess, tell us, where are you with the Massachusetts Department of Early Education Centers commitment on this? The licensing and all that?
So as I stated a little bit earlier, ma'am, the way the licensing works is the center gets built. We send them preliminary plans to review, but the state has facility guidelines. And within those guidelines, it talks about the teachers, the ratios, how many bathrooms that are a little bit different than the building code, things about where you can put younger children. For example, no children over the age of 2.5 are going to be on the upper floor because they take more care to get out of the building in, God forbid, an emergency. So what happens is the building gets built and approved. There's no cap on the number of licenses. So once it's built and there's a certificate of occupancy issued, the client will call in for an inspection, and they'll come and do an inspection. And then typically there's things like a potable water test, a lead water test that are part of their requirements.
Okay. And then my quick Google search says the calculations, especially for infant and toddler, it's different. So I'd love to make sure that we can
They are.
verify.
Yeah. So infants, you have a ratio of 1 to 4 in terms of the caregivers. The square footage is 55 square foot per the infant, per child. When you get into the toddler range, and again, it varies, so when you go 16 months to 23 months, the caregiver ratio is 1 to 5, and the square foot ratio is also still 1 to 56. But once you get above, once you get to 16 months and above, it becomes 1 to 35 square feet, which is a
Okay.
very common number for education.
I guess just, my Google search says infants is 1 to 3, and toddlers from 15 to 33 months is 1 to 4. So I just would love to confirm that to make sure the occupancy, the number of occupancies were good. And then a follow-up is, you mentioned that the renters, you would prefer staffing. So for somebody that does not have kids, the staffing, definitely, I'm sure you'll do a query check for the staffing, but if it's not rented to staffing, how will you be doing a query check to the renters?
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question. You're asking where the renters will come from, or?
No, if you'll be able to do a query check on the renters just because of the childcare facility here.
And I apologize, I don't understand what that check is, a query check
Oh,
is.
it's a criminal record.
Oh, a criminal record. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Employees of the Child Care Center would require a criminal record background check. They get fingerprinted. The renters would not necessarily. That would be, I think, a discrimination that wouldn't be allowed. Our attorneys could advise us of that.
For sure, but I
a
think
good
that would be a
question, yeah.
conflict on the childcare center, being on the first and second floor.
I don't know the answer right now, but I can look into that.
We'll have to look into that and see if
Thanks.
it's actually allowed.
Perfect.
If it's allowed, I'm sure our client wouldn't have a problem doing that. I mean, they do credit checks, so why not?
I just was thinking, so this used to be an industrial area. You guys have purchased it, or you're about to purchase it. You've done all your hazmat evaluations to make sure there's no dirty dirt.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
not, so I don't know what the status is, but I know the sophistication of my client as well as the franchisor. They would not allow a center to be built on
Yeah.
a site. Now, it could potentially be contaminated if it was cleaned up or if there were provisions, in place that do that.
And then.
And licensing would also address it.
Yeah,
Please.
a phase one ESA was completed on the
It
site.
does. And is the foundation going to be on piles, or is it going to be poured slab, or?
I don't think a foundation design has been solicited yet, but
So the foundation, soil bearing, assuming the soil bearing is capable, will be conventional spread footings.
Okay.
Right, so it'll be dug down to the frost line.
No piles?
Not that I believe. Yeah, we'll have to look at the geotech report, but I don't recall anything that would suggest piles.
I know, there's a lot of weight there with a pool there and so forth. I'm just,
Yeah.
and driving piles with people in the neighborhood, that goes over like a lead balloon, you know?
I understood. Yeah.
So, thank you.
Thank you, Mehmet. Anyone else? I do have a few questions for you. Just looking at it real quick, do you guys have a snow removal plan in place?
so our site plan, I can actually flip back to it. So this plan does show snow storage areas, specifically along this southwesterly side of the site and kind of this rear portion here.
What's the distance between the fence or the property line and the parking spaces?
I believe, I believe you guys have a 10-foot parking setback, so I think we're at like 10 and a half, just to build in a little bit of buffer.
Okay. And then regarding the transformer, if you have to put a transformer, where would you be considering the transformer?
So we'd have to study it. I mean, ideally,
the back
potentially
corner.
somewhere back here. It gets a little complicated when you look at the cost difference between running the primary versus secondary, especially with the electric kind of up along the street. But yeah, we'd certainly want to.
Well,
we
where's
kinda
your
need-
electric room? In the back of the building or the front of the building?
Currently, we have it in the front of the building, but we can move it based on where the utility company allows us to put the transformer.
Because typically, the transformer right up front on that street is going to be an eyesore, because I'm very familiar with the site. If you can put it in that back corner, that'd be great. I understand with the secondary and the primary and all that, and the cost of wire, but it's also, to put it right up in the front corner there, it's not gonna be very appealing. So if you can put it in that back corner, that'd be greatly appreciated, and obviously you're gonna have to protect it just in case cars, hit it with the bollards, and put some type of shrubbery around it to try to make it look decent. So that'd be good. So, just one other question. I'm looking at the pool, and there's only one locker room. I don't
I'm sorry, there's only one what?
Locker room?
So what we tend to do, these are young children, so what they'll do is they'll put changing cubicles for the parents to go into, kind of like a small family change. So a parent will go into like a cubicle that closes and be secure, and they'll change the child. So the locker room gets filled with these. So
And how big
there's
is this
privacy.
locker room? Because I don't see any dimensions on this drawing.
It's,
You are the architect, right?
I am, yeah. It's, I would say it's at least 800 square feet. It's big.
So these are gonna be like cubicles, like you're gonna put up like sliding
So
petitions? or-
if you could imagine like a fiberglass panel that's sometimes used for toilet partition changing, privacy, a system similar to that. It's actually a non-corrosive panel that we use so that, things like water and chlorine don't affect it. And there'll be a bench in there, so a parent will be able to take their child in and change them in and out. There are bathrooms and showers as well. There are showers on the pool deck, so the parents can, watch their child get.
So then this swimming pool is strictly for infants?
No, it's for children, but it can definitely have infants in it as well. There'll be infant classes, so both the parent and the child gets in.
Just
in the pool.
as a parent,
Mhm.
I have a problem with if I have a daughter, and I'm going in there with boys and other
Well,
people.
it's not an open locker room, so within that space, it's diagrammatic right now.
Yeah.
There'll be individual locker stalls that are rooms, that you open a door, you close the door, you secure it, you can't see over it, that's a changing room.
Okay,
It's private.
all right. And then, just one other quick question. You said you're gonna have 23 staff members. 23 staff members, 25 parking spaces. How's that work out?
Well, our traffic engineer can kind of talk about that, but a lot of staff sometimes carpool, and a lot of them use public transportation. It's just kind of the income level, the compensation that's given. Many of them don't have cars.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the board? Okay, this is a
I have another question,
Go ahead,
Renee.
Member
So
Johnson.
you're gonna have apartments above this, and the 23 members, so the apartments are also gonna need parking as well. And then, are the apartments gonna be allowed to have pets, like, they're gonna have dogs in the apartment, so they'll have to take them out and walk them and stuff like that, and then you have children in the same area, and,
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
We haven't discussed that with our client.
haven't got to there yet? No. That's okay, that's why we talk about this, then we meet again later on after you've talked about it, and that's good.
Well,
that's
we'll
good.
come back with an answer.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and the traffic, you wanna do the?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. For the record, Sean Kelly with Chapel Engineering. On behalf of the team, thank you again for having us tonight. What I'd like to do tonight is just take a few minutes to walk you through our traffic assessment, the things that we've looked at, what our findings were, and then I'd be happy to answer any questions. Basically, our traffic assessment that we prepared to date really focuses on two things. The first is the safety of the access point onto Columbia Street, ensuring that the sight distances that are there and the vehicle speeds, that we provide adequate sight distance for safe access and egress. And we did go out, we did a full speed study over a 24-hour period, looked at the speeds, we looked at the views on both directions, and quite frankly, the road's about as straight as an arrow, so there's really no issues in terms of sight lines. We have made some recommendations in terms of not putting signage or landscaping within those sight triangles, but from a safety perspective, certainly the access works. With respect to the increases in traffic, what we rely on is data that's published by what's known as the Institute of Transportation Engineers, or the ITE. And the ITE basically collects count data at existing operational facilities. And based on that data, allows you to utilize what we call trip generation rates that you apply, and it tells you how much traffic you can expect on a daily basis. And then what we really drill down on is the peak hour basis. So you can see for the daycare center, we ran it based on the size, 15,500. I did run it again today looking at the enrollment, and the numbers would be a little bit lower, but this is still pretty close to where it would land. On a daily basis, this is over the course of 24 hours, all the employees coming and going, all of the parents coming and going for drop-off and pickup. You're looking at about 610 trips. That's about 300 in and about 300 out. During the busiest times, which is that weekday morning peak hour when the students are being dropped off, and then the weekday evening peak hour when they're being picked up, typically you're looking at anywhere from about 80 to 90 trips, either both in and out. So you're looking at about 1.5 vehicles coming every minute, 1.5 vehicles leaving every minute. And again, as mentioned before, these trips don't all occur in 1 hour. It's dispersed from when the facility opens, typically over a 2 or 3 hour period. The residential units, again, there's 6 units. The traffic associated with those is fairly minor, but there are a handful of trips that we expect both in the morning and in the evening. And then with respect to the swim school, because there is really no industry data for that, we developed some empirical data based on the number of staff, based on the number of students when the school opens during that evening peak. We're expecting 14 inbound trips in the evening. That would be the 6 instructors, and then the potential 8 students for 14 trips. No trips for the swim school in the morning hour, and then over the course of the day, we had about 100 trips. So when you sum it all together, again, during those busiest hours, what you're looking at is about 80 to 90 trips in and out, in all on Columbia Street. We have made some recommendations in terms of where to steer those trips. And similar restrictions exist on other properties along the Columbia Street corridor, so we recommended a no right turn sign so that people that are leaving the site can't make their way through the neighborhood, and to get to where they're going, they have to make a left and head back to Center Street. And that's really what we've done to date in terms of traffic. We've looked at the safety, we've identified what we expect the increase will be in traffic, and be happy to answer any questions on that.
Questions on traffic? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak on this public? Moment in the back. Come on up to the microphone, ma'am.
Come on down.
Just state your name and your address and where you live.
Hi, my name is Vivian Devari. I'm a resident at 95 Columbia Street. So I have a couple of questions. You guys covered the daycare hours. The swim school, 10 to 2, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Is that also Monday through Friday? And what about the weekend?
Come back up to the mic. Can you just let them, yeah.
Yes, the 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. is Monday through Friday. And on Saturdays, it's 9 to 1 p.m., and on Sundays, it's 9 to 12 p.m.
9 to 1 as well?
No, 12 on Sundays.
Okay, thank you.
So pretty much every day, Monday through Sunday, there's going to be in and out traffic regardless, either from the daycare or the school. My other question, parking. Somebody mentioned 25 spots, right? Whatever your employees are, what about the 6 units above? Then where are the parents that are dropping and picking up? Where are they going to park? That all goes to the front of the street. What's the construction timeline is another one of my questions, since I'm right there, and we'll see everything that happens, something that we would like to know, having, like a feel. Are we talking about a year? What is it? What is it gonna look like if this gets approved? 154 kids was the max calculated. That's a lot. Assume each one of those kids is a parent with one car, 154 cars in and out. Dunkin' Donuts is already a mess in the mornings, so I don't know how this is gonna work. It's a lot of cars in and out. And then whoever parks on the street is already kind of blocking the two-way street flow. Other question was, you guys talk about a transformer. What makes the decision, do we need one or not? What's the drive?
Before I answer your transformer question, I neglected something about the students. So statistics show that 25% of the children in the building are siblings, and they come in the same.
Yeah, she's
the
got-
same- Oh,
yeah.
all right, I'm sorry.
Just-
Because she had two comments. All right, the transformer, the utility company decides. So we do an electric load calculation for the building. We go to the utility company, we give them what's called a load letter. It says this is how many amps, and they'll tell us what the voltage available is, and then they'll tell us whether or not they can feed. Every building needs a transformer. The question is whether or not it's on a pole or if it's ground mounted based on the load required. So it's really the utility company's decision. May I?
No,
Okay.
let her, she's,
I think that's it for me. Again, I am a parent, my kids are older now, but I was that person dropping off and picking up. And it is never an easy, even if you have parking spots, sometimes it could get nasty with some parents, the in and out, trying to get into that spot, and then people are gonna start to take the easy way, similar to school drop off and pick up, parking in the street in the community, just because it's convenient for them to get in and out. So, as a person that lives right there and sees the Dunkin' Donut chaos every day, or mainly Monday through Friday, because that's when it's busy, I totally avoid that side, Center Street. If I'm leaving my house, I'm going through Liberty and getting out through the BJ's Gas, because it's just too much commotion. So, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Sir, in the back?
David Parsons, 99 Columbia Street. I live across the street, right next to Vivian. The parking, it seems to be an issue, the number of parking spots. Whether the calculations are correct for time, it doesn't seem to mesh with people living there, the swim school, and the daycare all sharing 25 spaces, even the various times. I am a little bit concerned that it's going to be a 7-day-a-week operation. Right now I face the open parking lot, the driveway of the current building. So, I mean, right now that's not a problem as far as intrusion, but I'm worried about traffic on the street. Columbia Street is a fairly busy street. It's a cut through to get to Liberty Street, back and forth. So there's a lot of traffic, and people tend to speed on that street. Worried about kids being on that street. I know it's gonna be inside the building, but if people, like Vivian said, if they're gonna start parking on Center Street to bring their kids into the building, that's an issue. And from the drawings that I saw, it looks like the building is right up against Center Street. Doesn't look like there's any kind of buffer for snow. We just got 2 feet of snow. There's still snow on that street, and it has not been plowed, and people walk in the street when they can't use that sidewalk. So if there's nowhere to put that snow, I mean, is the company gonna move that snow from the Center Street sidewalk to their snow storage area? Or are they gonna dump it onto Plain Street where it's currently grass, but it's technically a street? So what happens to that snow when we have a big storm? And where pedestrians, there's a lot of pedestrians that go down Center Street. If the sidewalk is blocked, where are they gonna walk? They're gonna walk in the street. So, other than that, the 7 days a week is kind of concerning for me. Right now, it's a 5-day during the week, and it's quiet during the weekends. So that's my biggest thing. So,
Okay,
thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on this? Council? Good evening.
So I did reach out to some of the other neighbors with regards to this project, and I do have some emails that they did forward to me, one of which is from Julie Deandra and Richard Deandra and Gail Patton. They live on 73 and 75 Columbia Street. They have concerns regarding the proposed development of 90 Columbia Street. First is the in and out traffic all day by a swim school, daycare, and third-floor tenants. Parking on the site is not sufficient for residents of the building and employees of the daycare and swim school. Columbia Street cannot accommodate on-street parking. The height of the building being 3 stories does not fit the character of the neighborhood. Most of them are single families, so if you have a 3-story building, it could be looking into your second-floor bathroom. We are against the development for this site and confident a more suitable use of the property can be developed. The other, I think that was it. Yes, okay. Yes, I did have a response from another resident. I don't know if she wants to come up. But my concern also is the parking going in and out. I mean, if you have 134 slots that are full, you're gonna have people coming and going between the hours of 6:30 to 9:30. And I was down that street today, and it is a small street. It's a dead-end street, a cut-through, and the site just doesn't fit with the neighborhood. I think it's too big. They've got 1,200 to 1,470 square feet for some of the apartments, which means that you could have 2 cars per apartment. So where is that extra car gonna go? So my recommendation would be to either tone it down a little or come up with something different. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak on, come on up, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Abigail Murphy. I live at 35 Plain Street. I am for this development as someone who just recently moved to Quincy last year, looking to raise a family in South Quincy. I think this is an area that is in much need of development like this. I share the concerns about parking and traffic of my neighbors, but I work in housing and understand the traffic studies that have been done. I think the addition of the no right turn should be helpful, but I just wanted to provide my support for this.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak on this project? All right, come on up, sir.
Hey, my name is Liam Fleming. My family has owned the property adjacent at 106, the construction company there, since the early 80s, right when I was born. I share the same concerns as the other speakers. It just seems, it seems a little overly ambitious. We have 6 units, up to 12 people would need cars. We have 20-something teachers that need to park, let's say it's half. And then you have parents, like myself, I have 3 little girls, and I know what pickup and drop-off is like. It seems like we'd be fighting, those parents would be fighting for spots for drop-off, seeing as the building is so close to Columbia Street without a buffer or even a pickup drop-off at the front. It just seems overly ambitious, especially with the apartments there. And also, one concern, I love playgrounds, we build playgrounds, so I'm always in favor of playgrounds, but having the 2 at the back, they're very close to our operation, which could pose problems. I think that retaining wall brings the playgrounds higher, from what I would gather, putting them, much higher than our property, and then close to our operation, which, although the kids would probably like to watch what we do, I don't know if it's necessarily a safe thing at that location. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Fleming.
you.
Does anyone else wish to speak on behalf of this project? Okay. If you, Council, if you'd like to come up and address, you were going to say something?
Thank you. One thing, just from an operational standpoint, statistically, we've learned that on any given day, about 10% of the children are out sick, and about 25% of them are siblings. They come in the same car. So it cuts down trips a little bit as a result of that. I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Okay.
If I may, through the chair, I think Rob Stevens was just saying this. This project is yet to undergo a full peer review, so this is more introducing us or the project to you, the board, and soliciting feedback. So we will take a lot of the comments from the board and the public under consideration, and we'll address them with the peer reviewer. Thank you.
Okay. Can we get a motion to put this out for 2 months? To
2
the
months?
April meeting?
We'll make a motion that we extend this out for 2 months.
If I may, through the chair, just because the property's under agreement, we would appreciate the flexibility if it could just be 1 month extension, but if we can't
We
get
already
anything.
have a lot on the plate for next month.
Understood. 2
So,
months.
sorry.
It's okay. Had to ask.
Yeah. Can I get a second on that? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's going to get pushed out to the April 8th meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Notice we continued the dates for 7. Anyone's here waiting
Okay.
before we open the next one.
Before we open the last, excuse me, in the back, we still have a meeting going on, please, if you're going to talk, go outside. I just want to bring to everyone's attention that may not been in the room, that we went out of order on a few things. On the 46 Bates Avenue, we already postponed that, and the public hearing on 475 Hancock Street, we postponed that to next month as well. Okay. The next order of business tonight will be on 65 Newport Ave. It's a public hearing. This public hearing shall be conducted to review the applicant of DE Food LLC, 101 Accord Park Drive, Norwell, filed under this Quincy zoning ordinance, Title 17, Section 8.4, Planning Unit Development District, for an amendment to the existing planned unit development special zoning permit, order number 094097, issued by the City Council, acting as a special permit granting authority. On December 19th, 1994, the applicant proposed to redevelop a portion of the existing surface parking lot, a 2,120 square foot Taco Bell restaurant with a drive-through. The remaining area outside of the proposed redevelopment for Stop and Shop will remain unchanged, including all 6 exit curb cuts. Site improvements include parking for the visitors and staff, improving landscape, new utilities connections, and an improved stormwater management system to capture and treat stormwater. The property contains 313,632 square feet of land and is located at 65 Newport Ave Street. The subject property is located within a PUD zoning district and is shown on the Assessors Map 6102, Block 34, Lot 8. Mr. Fleming, you have the floor.
Should I read the memo?
Oh, yes, Mr. Stevens, can you read the memo?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, through you to the board, the department recognizes that the city council acts as a special permit granting authority for projects located in the PUD zoning. And as a result, we had been working with the city solicitor on the sequencing for this specific case. We received a memo today from the solicitor addressed to the planning director. And it states that from Solicitor Timmons, while I know that all are clear, the above referenced project involves a PUD permit and will therefore be considered by the city council as a permit granting authority, I understand there remains a bit of confusion about the sequencing of the planning board's hearing in relation to its role in this matter. There remains a concern over the fact that the normal practice is to have the planning board act on these types of matters only after a referral vote from the city council. The thought being the process starts with the council. This application, however, was submitted to the city clerk in November of '25, the end of a city council term. As I explained back in November, I had concerns with the timing of the city's review, as we had an outgoing council with limited to no time to entertain the application, and a newly elected council which would not be prepared to begin to deal with the matter until at least February. Waiting for a referral to the planning board until that time was not an acceptable option. I've advised the planning board should schedule the matter for a public hearing and begin the process of its advisory review. Doing so allows the city council to schedule its review in a considered matter without time constraints. I further believe this is more consistent with the provisions of section 8.4.6, which does not specify a sequence for submittal, but does list the planning board as the first step in the process. I believe the planning board is acting in an entirely appropriate manner moving forward tonight and may do so however it wishes in regard to taking testimony and scope of initial review. Coordination with the council can follow after tonight's initial review. So with that, we can entertain Mr. Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Mr. Fleming, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm an attorney here in Quincy, and I'm representing DE Foods LLC, the applicant that's before you today. I'm joined tonight by Hussein Savinkil of GPI Engineering. Hussein is the engineer on this matter. He'll do a presentation in a moment, really showing this proposal in detail. I'm also joined by Alice Gomes, Juan Casenda, and Mark Schofield, who are representatives from DE Foods. And they can speak to operational issues or questions that may be raised about the operation of this facility. This is a new Taco Bell facility that's being proposed on the existing Stop and Shop property that was permitted by the city council back in the 90s, where Stop and Shop sought to build a new supermarket with additional retail components. And that underwent both the planning board and the city council review back in the 90s when the Stop and Shop proposal was initially permitted. DE Foods has entered into an agreement with Stop and Shop, who is the master tenant of the property, for the purposes of conducting a new residential use on their site, which will be a Taco Bell restaurant. If I may, Mr. Chairman, just to kind of highlight or expand upon City Solicitor Timmons' letter. I had an opportunity also to speak with City Solicitor Timmons a number of times before we even made the filing in November. And we discussed the procedure in which we needed to go forward with this process. Most in the city don't understand the PUD process. I think the last PUD in my office handled it was the High Point development up on Quarry Street. And I did so when it was completed by Avalon, the second phase of that. And that's the only PUD matter that the city has really entertained in a number of years. Very few parcels through the city are actually zoned as PUD. And planned unit development was really intended for large tracts of land, like the High Point development, where there were numerous buildings being located on the site. and it was to assist the the proponent and also the city in reviewing and planning the whole proposal. For some reason, the city also chose these smaller sites, like the Stop and Shop site, and zoned it in planned unit development, even though those sites really only called for one user. So it's kind of complicated, the permitting process, a little bit more than it really needed to. So I warned my client when he called me, and I said, oh, by the way, this is planned unit development, and we have to go to the city council for the ultimate review, because the city council really isn't used to and doesn't participate in kind of the review of these kind of matters. So in my discussions with City Solicitor Timmons, and my discussions with Mr. Stevens, Mr. Fatsis, we all agreed that the planning board was probably best suited to review this type of proposal. So when I filed the application with this board, I did so as if it was a site plan review or a special permit from this body. And I included we included all the filings that we would include on any kind of special permit and site plan review, which really called for a much higher level of plans at the planning board level for a PUD matter. That just gives you a little bit of background. In addition to having conversations with City Solicitor Timmons and the planning department, I also reached out a number of times and spoke with Ian Kane. And Ian Kane at the time was the city solicitor that represented Ward 3. And Ian and I had numerous conversations, and at the time, he was approaching the end of his term, which ended in November, and he had chosen not to run for re-election. So he was hesitant at the time to bring the matter to the city council, and suggested that I may want to wait and work with the new city councilor in his district. I have since reached out and spoken with Walter Hubley, who I know very well. Walter and I had a great conversation. I explained to Walter the process that we were going through, the proposal that we had submitted. And I explained to Walter at the time, who, by the way, just took office in January. Although he told me he's been getting calls from his constituents since November, since the election. But he just took office in January, so he didn't have the ability to schedule what we normally would do as a neighborhood meeting before the hearing. So I told Walter that what we would do tonight is simply make our initial presentation, but that this would be continued to another date. I think we talked about April being the next date, and that in the meantime, he agreed to host a neighborhood meeting, which we will attend on February 24th. So just so that the board understands that the neighbors' concerns are being listened to, I'm making sure that Walter Hubley, the new city councilor who represents this district, has the opportunity to be able to share this with his constituents, and we will not ask, obviously, for any vote at this stage, and we'll be continuing this matter to a new hearing date. So just to give you a little bit of background on that, so that everybody understands, we're not ignoring the neighborhood, the circumstances were really difficult. So with that, we're proceeding in the fashion that the planned unit development, or PUD, procedure requires. What that requires is the filing be made to the city council, which I did so, and I filed it with the city clerk's office. And we also made this filing with the planning department, because the procedure states in clear terms that before the city council acts on these matters, that the planning board first reviews this matter in detail and then makes a recommendation to the city council. So the city council will be acting upon the recommendation of this board. This application seeks two things from this body and from the city council ultimately. It seeks to amend the special permit that was granted to the Stop and Shop, which at the time did not provide for a freestanding restaurant site. So we're asking that permit be amended to allow that use. And then we're asking for an independent special permit for the new use, which will be which, as I said, will be a Taco Bell restaurant consisting of about 2,120 square feet, and it will be a freestanding Taco Bell located on the Stop and Shop site. So that's a lot of background. What I'd like to do is ask Hussein to walk you all through the plans, show you the location of the proposal, and then we can answer any questions you have. We did not ask our traffic engineer to come yet to this meeting. However, we do have a traffic engineer on our team, and that traffic engineer is working with the city traffic engineering department, and will also work with the peer review engineer that the planning board will refer this matter to. But because of the filing and the discussions and some confusion, I know that peer review consultant has not even yet started his work or her work. And so we asked our engineer to hold off and come in at the next meeting. So with that, I'd like to turn this over to Hussein.
Thank you.
Good evening. For the record, Hussein Sevinchkil with Greenman Peterson, Inc., out of Salem, New Hampshire, with the civil engineers for the project. Let's see. So this is, so we submitted site development plans to the board. Let's see. This is just the cover sheet. These are a bunch of notes, grading notes, site plan, demolition, utilities, erosion control, landscaping. They're all construction notes for the plans. Wow, came out pretty bad. All right, so this is, sorry for the quality, I guess. Wasn't that bad when they compiled this. This is the site. Stop and Shop is off. Of course, this doesn't work. Stop and Shop is off to the right of this property. Newport Avenue is on the top, northerly. Holbrook Road to the left. Fayette Street on the bottom of the sheet. Wow, they're all bad. This is just a demolition plan that shows just demolition where we're proposing the work. So it's basically in this southwesterly corner of the property. It's kind of like a pad site. It's far away from the Stop and Shop. Let's see this one. This one's better quality. Sorry about that. So the Stop and Shop is off to the right. You can see the building. You can see the large parking lot that's been resurfaced. And then you have a driveway coming down Newport Ave. It's a right-in, right-out driveway on the top of the sheet. Coming down into Fayette Street, again, right out, full left in, right in. Driveway off to the left, Holbrook Road, that kind of connects into, forms an unsignalized T intersection, connects to the property, to the south, west, I guess. We'll just say north is up top. So basically, this shows the development. We are leasing a portion of this parcel. It's about a 21,500 square foot lease area, and all of the work will be done in that area. This is a site plan. It just goes into the details that are on the site. The building, again, it's 2,120 square feet with 20 seats inside. 2 entrances to the building, one on the north side of the building, one on the east side of the building facing Stop and Shop. It would have a drive-through window. Drive-through window is on the southerly part of the building. And there's cars shown. There's 2, 4, 6, 7 cars stacked on the property, and ample room on site for stacking vehicles without going into Newport Ave, Holbrook, or Fayette Street. Grading and drainage plan. So one thing to note, we are in a flood zone. We did go through Conservation Commission, and we did receive approval on January 7th from the Conservation Commission. We had review done by the city engineer, the engineering department, Mass DEP. We did have quite a bit of conversations with both agencies prior to getting the approval from Conservation Commission. So we do meet the flood storage volume out here. The building is 1 foot into the floodplain. So we are flood proofing the building, and that information has been submitted to like I said, Conservation Commission, and we did get their approval for that. Drainage improvements, we are proposing an infiltration system for the roof drain runoff, so clean water going back into the ground, and then a number of catch basins on the property to collect stormwater runoff, and basically tie into the existing facility drainage system that's within the plaza. Utility plan, the site would have all the utilities. We're looking at having electric. Everything's coming off of Holbrook Road. Electric, sewer, water, and gas. We would have a grease trap. Again, that was reviewed as part of our Conservation Commission as well by the engineering department. They wanted some additional manhole where the grease trap, so the way a grease trap works is your kitchen connects into the grease trap, your domestic flows, restrooms and whatnot have a separate exit out of the building, and then they basically connect after the grease trap. The city engineer wanted a sewer manhole at that connection point. Sorry, my laser kind of stopped working on me, but it's all there. Oh, is this all right, perfect. Doesn't work.
It's up, you're up there, you're up in the.
No, I know, I see it up there, but then when you come down, it doesn't work on that. All right. It's all there. It's all there. Nothing's gonna back up.
Don't look at it.
Green and white, yeah, it doesn't. That's all right. It's all there, trust me. So the city engineering department, the city engineer reviewed it. We went back and forth. This is erosion control and sediment control plan. Again, temporary construction entrance off of the main internal driveways, sediment trap areas, stockpile areas, everything that was kind of worked out during the Conservation Commission process. These are just detail sheets, construction details that are proposed for the site. I don't want to bore you with all that. Sign and graphics plan showing what we're doing for signage. So basically, there's an existing Stop and Shop. So detail A, center of the sheet on the top. Existing freestanding sign for Stop and Shop. There's 2 panels there. We would be occupying the bottom panel for a Taco Bell. And then there's wall signage that's proposed on the building and directional signage, menu board obviously for the drive-through. Those will all be shown on the elevation plan that I also have. Landscape plan, basically the site has mature landscaping along the roadway frontages, Fayette and Holbrook Road. Those trees, the mature trees will be remaining. There's some trees internal to the parking lot. At the end of the parking aisles, those will be removed. So the whole inside of the property would be redone, and as you can see, we have quite a bit of landscaping proposed around the perimeter to shield, kind of the site from the roadways. So that's all there. Truck turn plan, it was asked how deliveries would occur. So truck would come off Holbrook Road and then exit back onto Newport Ave. Deliveries are typically done off-peak hours, so we don't want the truck there when the restaurant's busy. Lighting plan was done. Pull some new site lighting around the perimeter of the property just to create a safe lit area. This was the PUD plan that was approved. Stop and Shop, as you can see, the proposed retail B, which is across from Holbrook Road, and our project area, as we kind of discussed. Cannot find it. Okay. All right. So this is just a floor plan of the building. Vestibule, internal vestibule, everything meets Mass building code internally. Our architects, Tesserae, we've done hundreds of Taco Bells with them throughout New England. They've done more in other states as well. But this is the elevation of the building. This is the entrance of the building. You could see the Taco Bell sign, that's the main entrance, the vestibule. That's facing Newport Ave, if you recall. These are the other elevations, the drive-through, the larger, longer facade is the drive-through. You can see the drive-through window in this close off-center a little bit. Taco Bell building with the tower, that's facing Holbrook. No, I'm sorry, that's facing Stop and Shop. And then this rear elevation is facing Holbrook. These are just elevations of what the building would look like. Newer facade. And that's pretty much it for this site. Traffic-wise, I can go into it briefly. Basically, we met with the city, I believe the planning department, our traffic engineers who are also out of with GPI. Scope was worked out with the city traffic engineering department, I'm sorry. We studied the, let me go back to this. We studied 6 intersections. So off of Newport Ave, we studied from right to left, the Stop and Shop right only, a center driveway, which is a right in, right out, and then the Holbrook and Newport Ave, which is a signalized intersection. And coming down Holbrook, we studied that T intersection right in the middle. We also studied the other unsignalized intersection of Holbrook and Fayette, and also coming up toward the right on Fayette, that right out and full access driveway. So we did that study, it was submitted. I believe it's being peer reviewed. We looked at the weekday PM peak hour and the Saturday midday peak hour. We looked at site distances at all the driveways that we studied. All of them meet AASHTO minimum criteria. We looked at future projects in the area, discussed that with the city, assigned that traffic to the existing traffic at those 6 driveways, and then assigned our proposed traffic to those driveways as well. The trip generation, again, it's ITE. You guys have heard that before. Standard engineering manual that every traffic engineer bases their trip generation off of. During the PM peak hour, the site would generate 90 total trips, so in and out total. Saturday, it's about 70 total trips. Of those trips, typically fast food, quick service restaurants are usually impulse trips. So it's pass-by, you've probably heard that term in the past. Pass-by traffic accounts for about 50 to 55%, depending on the peak hour. So new trips to the area for the Taco Bell during the PM peak hour, 40 total trips, so 20 in, 20 out, new trips. People that weren't in this area that are coming to the Taco Bell. Saturday is 34 trips. All the driveways currently and in the future with this development would operate at a level of service C or better. So that's what my traffic engineer was gonna say. I told him to stay home. I'll go over that with the board, but he will be here if there's any additional questions that arise from the peer review. Beyond that, I think I'll just turn it over to the attorney.
Thank you, Sam. And in speaking with Ally Rule, the city's traffic engineer, one of the things that I know she mentioned to me is that her primary concern was avoiding any backup onto the public ways. And because this site is located like it is, and the entrance to the drive-through is where it is, it actually avoids any kind of opportunity for backup onto the street. And she was quite pleased with that design. She could, so any traffic going in and out of the site would first have to come into Holbrook Road and then enter into the site. So even if the traffic were to back up from the 8-car queue, it would only back up into the existing Taco Bell site, or even into the Stop and Shop site at very worst. And the other thing that was really mentioned to us and highlighted to us is the maintenance of the landscaping. That's a mature landscaping strip that exists today And I highlighted that with my client, and they were able to incorporate that into the design plan. So we're pleased that we were able to address that. So that's our presentation for tonight. As I said, we're going to work with peer review. We're going to continue to work with the departments. And we'll certainly have our traffic engineer come back and make presentation next time as well. Thank you, Mr.
Does the board have any questions?
I would only suggest that when they come back with their drawings, they scratch off the proposed Stop and Shop and the proposed retail and put in existing Stop and Shop, existing retail, because when you look at the drawing, that drawing was done in 1994. This drawing was just highlighted for this, and I understand that. Let's save a few bucks. I'm all for it. But just erase the proposed. That's the existing Stop and Shop, and that's the existing retail that's already there. So if someone out in the street is looking at it, they're gonna go, they're putting in a proposed super Stop and Shop, we already have one. They're gonna go, wow, we're gonna have two?
We'll clarify that.
You know what I mean?
That, just to clarify that, that was just thrown into the set to show the.
I get it.
PUD from
I
back
get it.
then, so-
I'm just saying.
I can't modify that plan, but, you know what I mean, it's someone else's stamp plan, I can't really modify that legally.
Okay.
but
You know what I'm
we can
saying? I
make it-
mean,
But we can remove it from our package.
just
we
like,
can remove it from the set.
it's the little things, you know what I mean?
No, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I do, just, I think from being a frequent Stop and Shop person, those stop signs through each of those parking lanes, I would love to see, as we're talking about traffic, to figure out on the busier timeframes on those, if there's an easier way of making maybe those one-ways or considering those stop signs in between the lanes.
In the existing Stop and Shop parking lot?
Yes, yes.
Whereabouts, so.
So that strip in the middle that you have, all of those, there's stops, there's 4 corner stop signs. Yep.
Oh, right here?
There's all 4 corner stop signs, every lane.
Chris?
Yeah, I did, thank you.
TJ?
I appreciate you looking out for the, protecting the mature trees, the border that runs around the property. That sidewalk at the top of the property, that's gonna be, that's new. That's new. So my C1 elevation or drawing is a little bit different. Yours, this one's better highlighted. But I'm showing like in the area of that sidewalk, there's 2 more planting beds, top right, top left, and it shows trees in this C1 that I'm looking at, that's not, they might be there. I'm just, my question is, the mature trees, number one, protecting the ones that exist, and introducing, if possible, if there's gonna be, are those, what I'm looking at are these 2 planting areas. That, okay, they are there, I couldn't see them from where I'm sitting. Here, and here. They, you know, they're quite evident on my sketch here, they weren't showing up on the screen as much.
Those are existing, so
Those are existing,
I kinda
right.
mentioned that the existing would be removed.
You did, I thought that was more down in the body of the land where the building was gonna go.
Yeah, unfortunately, this doesn't, if you look at your, I'm hoping your sheet.
I'm sure it's
the
there
one-
somewhere.
Sheet E1,
Okay.
E1, or actually D1. D1 kind of points out the trees that are going to be removed.
Which are these, so these are
Thank
at
you.
the end, kind of mimicking, like.
Yep, I
let's
see-
say
I
this.
see
So
that,
These
I
are
see
at the
that.
end, these will be removed for the new development. All the trees along this, you know, these areas would remain, the mature trees, but these have to be removed in order to start our development.
Okay, I could see the bottom 4, but I didn't know that you were gonna remove that was kind of my question.
Okay.
I was hoping we could protect those top 4. Are they
It
gonna
would be
replaced?
difficult during construction.
Yeah.
There are some proposed trees, let's see. And I'll send you guys for the next one. I thought it was a good image, but I guess.
I looked at that too, yeah.
So there are, if I can, there's a proposed tree here, there's another proposed tree here. We didn't want to add a tree here to block this sight distance. As you know, some trees block sight distance. So this would be removed, no, this is a new tree here. We didn't want to impede anything in this area.
So some trees will be removed, but
Yeah.
some trees will also be added, additional trees will be
Okay,
added.
and, you know, safety paramount is paramount there, but, yeah, anything that we can do, I understand the 4 trees being removed down where the building's proposed. I was hoping we could save some of the ones up above. Anything that'd be given, it's just such a large parking lot, you know, that anything we can do to, at a minimum, maintain, if not increase, you know, a canopy in there, that'd be
We
great.
can look at adding one into the upper.
That upper right-hand corner? I'd appreciate, if you could look at it, I'd appreciate it. I'm fine, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
All right, I have a few questions for you. Hassan, how you doing? You guys self-perform?
Excuse me?
Do you self-perform?
As far as,
Are you gonna be the general
No, we don't.
contractor?
We
So you
don't.
hire out the local contractors?
they hire out a contractor that does this type of work, right?
Okay. So when you're picking a contractor for the city of Quincy to do a project in the city of Quincy, please keep in mind the men and women that would be, because we don't want to see people come from the other areas when we're building in our city. You know, we'd like to see if we can get the people of the city of Quincy to work here in Quincy. Because I know the guys and girls who live in the city of Quincy would do a better electrical drawing than on LO, the way they run those pipes on the ground. It looks like a zigzag that you showed there. That's pretty bad.
Oh, the
Lighting?
proposed, yeah, the proposed.
That's pretty bad. That looks like my grandson did that. He's 1.5.
For the proposed utilities?
Right here in L1, you were showing the lighting?
Oh, L1. Oh, L1, that's a lighting plan. That shows the foot candles. Those are, let me clarify that. I see what you're saying now. Let me see, where is that?
Right there.
LO, yep. So those are foot candles. Those aren't lights. So,
Is that the wiring, the path?
no, that's not the wiring at all. These are just, again, the quality of this is so bad, but all these little numbers are the foot candles for the development, and these lines kind of represent
That one light?
the light, like the light spread, right? It's not the utilities.
Okay, I'll cut you some slack on that one.
No.
But,
That's just a lighting plan, it's not an electrical.
so what do you have for lighting in the parking lot? It looks like there's only a few lights out there. Is that gonna be adequate?
It should be adequate. We don't wanna, add more lights than we need, but let me just see. Is the quality of the ones you have in front of you that bad? Like, can you see anything, or is it?
Yeah, we can't read it, yeah.
Mine is pretty clear.
No, I believe you. I was just messing with you, Hassan. Just messing with you, having a little fun tonight. I'm tired.
right.
Quick question though regarding your mechanicals. All your mechanicals going up on your roof?
Mechanicals.
Like condensers, things of that
Condensers
nature?
typically go on the roof, yeah, everything's on the roof. Yeah,
Will you be
rooftop
blocking
units.
that so it's more eye appealing or?
There is, so, let's see. So the top of the roof kind of ends here, and then
Okay.
kind of extend this up a little bit, so there is about.
A 3-foot buffer?
Yeah.
Okay. So you won't see the mechanicals?
You should
most
not see
likely.
the mechanicals unless you're flying up above, yeah.
Okay. Nice. All right, thank you. Are there any other questions from the board? Okay. This is a public hearing. Does anyone wish to speak on this project? Hi, can you come up and state your name?
My name is Christine LeBlanc, and I live at 104 Farrington Street. And I've lived there when they did the Stop and Shop, and with the pilings and everything, and the houses shook and get cracks in them and everything else. Are there gonna be pilings with this restaurant? It is a marsh. We live on a marsh. We all have sub pumps and everything else.
Right.
We have so much, I mean, they're pushing all this snow up in that area now because of big snowstorms. We have people that come from Dorchester and Milton, because they don't, well, Milton doesn't want one in their backyard, and Dorchester likes to come over because we got a better Stop and Shop than they have. We have a Taco Bell on Hancock Street. Why do we need another one? I don't know. It just more traffic. I mean, I live right behind there in the little area. I was the representative when they were doing it with Pat McDermott was the Ward 3 councilor, and that's one of the reasons why they have this PUD thing, so we could have, and I'm glad that they're gonna have a meeting of the residents, because I wanna go to that too. But the parking is horrendous where I live. You know, I can hardly get out of my driveway half the time because they haven't plowed as good as because they can't get the plows. I don't know, just more traffic and more, and I'd like to know what this thing about the flood thing that they're gonna be doing, because the Stop and Shop promised us a pumping station, which we never got over there, you know, because it's a marsh and we have a lot of water. You know, it was backed up on Newport Avenue the other day. And it's gonna be harder to get in and out of there, and it's gonna cause more traffic. But anyway, I'll go to the other meeting too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Fleming, you have a date for that meeting?
The 24th, February 24th.
And the location?
Let's see if I have it.
While we're waiting for Mr. Fleming, is there anyone else that would wish to speak on this project? Is there anyone else that would wish to speak on this project? Okay.
Right.
We have over there on the windows, if anyone would like to, right, if they don't want to come up and speak, they can go over there and fill that out, or if they're letters of support, you can also do that over there. And Mr. Fleming, everyone will be getting a letter in the mail?
Yeah, there'll be a letter sent out by the counselor advising you. I don't have the location for that, but I'm sure it'll be.
It'll probably be in the sun.
It'll be, and Counselor Hughley will send it out to everybody.
Okay. Seeing none, that nobody else wishes to speak on this project, we'll take a motion to push this out to the April 8th meeting. Second it? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, see you in April.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Christine.
Good, how are you?
We have nothing else, right?
Yeah, hold on. I wanted to give her your card in case, you know, if we find out. Mr. Chair, through you, we did list the design guidelines update. We did not have that ready for this meeting. That'll roll over to the next meeting.
Excuse me, out in the audience, can you please take that out in the hallways? We're conducting business. Thank you.
Thank you. So those aren't prepared, so we didn't have them ready a week in advance. So we'll target the next month for that. We'll roll it over, and other than that,
Take a motion to adjourn?
let's get through winter, right?
All those in favor? Aye. Have a good night.